Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to perform delete multiple rows with checkbox in Angular using Web API. So the backend here is SQL Server database. So here I am using Web API to provide data connectivity between the database and the front-end application. So on the UI side, that is in Angular, I have used Bootstrap and Angular material to create a rich, interactive, device-independent user experience for building the beautiful API. Uh, so here guys, to create the beautiful Angular UI using Web API, I have used here Angular material using Bootstrap. So there are few prerequisites for creating this application. One is VS Code, SQL Server, Node.js, Angular, VS Code, Bootstrap and Angular material. So VS Code is used for Angular UI development, and Visual Studio is used for Web API application development. So guys, there are few steps which I already have discussed in my previous video. That is that the create the table and create the audio.entity data model to map to the particular table, and from the get operation is in Web API, and how to consume that get endpoint in our Angular UI frontend. So before going through this video, please visit my previous video, that is I'll show you. So this is available in my playlist called Angular application part 24, that is display user detail in modal dialog using Angular material and Web API. So let's go to my presentation. So guys, in this video I'll discuss create a endpoint to delete records in Web API, perform delete operation using checkbox in Angular material, and implement Bootstrap in Angular for responsive web design in Angular. So I have created a note for this. Okay, so here, so guys, there are 9 steps total to implement the Angular material for deleting multiple rows using checkbox. So step 1 is we need to create a API control logic for delete user detail. So before that, I'll show you, that is this is the table I have used in my previous video, and the same table I am using now in this video also, that is user detail, and these are the table data here, right? So it will display in my UI. So as per my steps, I'll show you create that is there is one controller for deleting user detail. So this API controller I already have created in my previous video. I am using the same controller, that is user API controller. So previously I already have discussed, that is get user details. Okay, and this endpoint I already have discussed, that is for get the user detail in my previous video. But for this, in this video I'll show you for delete the record using the delete endpoint. So for that I have used this table, right, user details, and this under models there is one audio.entity data model which I already have discussed in my previous video. The same data model I'm using in this video for perform the delete operation. So guys, here there is delete record. It is a Web API action method. Okay, and here I am calling the delete data method. So delete data method is implemented here, right? So in this delete data method I am passing the list of user detail. Okay, and there is in the try block I am using a for each loop, and I am iterate through the item in the user, and based on the user detail, using that object of user detail class, I am access all the property name, right? And then what I'll do is using the entry variable, okay, using the object entity dot entry. So if you put over mouse, it will show the an entry of entity. So here I have passed all the object values here, and based on entry state there is entry state detached and object entity user detail attached here. So if you put over mouse, you can find out what is the detached, okay, and what is the attached method here. So using this object entity user detail and remove, you can see here either remove here. So using that remove, I am it will perform the delete operation. Okay, so based on the ID value, So I am remove the that particular detail, user detail record here. Okay, and there is save changes. Whatever I have done is save changes method here. It saves all changes made in the context, same as the remove, right? It marks the given entity as delete such that it will delete from the database when save changes is called. So if it delete successful, there is one message: record has been deleted. If it is due to some error, it will show record delete has been failed, and catch block there is throw exception, and return the str declaration here, right? So same delete data method, whatever the delete data is, method I have implemented here, right? So I need to call this delete data method here inside the delete record action method as ISTTB action result method. So here model state is valid, so there is bad request, and in try block I am calling the delete data. If user, it will store in the result here and catch exception, throw x, and return okay result. So we need to use this delete record HTTP post method in our Angular application. So this is nothing but the route, right? So in this user API controller, this is the logic for delete the record. So I'll scroll from top to bottom here. Okay, so this is all about the part step 1, that is add API controller logic for delete the user detail. So there is nothing much on this logic part. So step 2 is we need to create a component here. Okay, so create the component. I'll go to my VS Code. So VS Code is used for Angular application. The same Angular UI also I have used in my previous video. That is what I have suggested my previous video, that is about the modal dialog. So I have created one component, that is user CB. This is the command. So here, while the execution successful, I am getting the user CB controller component here, and there is related file CSS, HTML, spec.ts, and ts. So step 3 is we need to see, that is the component HTML part. So if you click on this user component.html, okay, so there is, you can see there is, I have used one table element, right? It will data source I have mentioned here, and this is the class for Angular material. So what is the Angular material? I already have discussed in my previous video on how to install the Angular material packages. So I already have discussed in my previous video. The same concept I have used here for Angular material as well. So inside ng container I have used a select, okay, and there is same as a th here, table header, and it is used for checkbox, right? You can see this is used for checkbox part, add hyphen checkbox. Okay, and on the table td, that is the there is used for that is checkbox for all the table data here, right? Table row, it will show the all checkboxes for each row as well. And there is for, in that particular table we have few column names which is value, that is for user ID, user name, email ID, and gender. Okay, and there is for mobile number, and this is for address, and this is for pin code, and this is for so here you can see you display the columns, right, in the tr. So in table row I have used the orange red, that is background color, and it will display all the columns with values, right? So click selection toggle.row, so it will be display, it will whatever the data here, it display the columns, right? And it will be iterate through the row and column displayed columns, and click with the click event I am calling the selection.toggle of row, so it will display all the column values as well. And on the bottom of that table I am used here as a button control, and I am calling the delete data method here. and the value on the table, the button name is delete user. So this is all about the code for user cb component.html. So I'll scroll from top to bottom to capture the code. Okay, and fourth point is we need to check about the user component css. So here user cb.component.css. so there is a class mad-header-shell, its color is white. So I already have used that class in my css class in my html. So this is about the code for user cb.component.css. Fifth point is we need to discuss user cb.component.ts to import the necessary library and add functionality. So here is the ts file. So guys, these are the import statements we need to use to access its features and functionalities we can implement in our code. So these are the component selector, template URL and style css, and here the total row I have declared here, right? It is a property, and display columns. So I have mentioned all the columns user ID to pin code, and this is the select, that is for checkbox. Okay, and the data source I have used what I have used in our table data source, and the selection and the constructor part will derive from user service, and in ng on init I can use this .load data because this table needs some data to load. So load data I am the method is implemented here, and this method I am calling here. So here also I put some comment section, that is whether the number of selected element matches the total number of rows. The is all selected method, and this is the functionality is implemented here. And same way for select all row, if they are not selected, otherwise clear the selection. This is the master toggle, and I'm calling that is all selected method here. And same for the label for checkbox on the past row. So checkbox label, okay, it is a method. So label for checkbox on the past row, and this is the if the row is not selected, then it will select all the row, select or deselect all the row, else it will deselect the rows as well. And use this user ID because the checkbox is corresponding to the particular row, and this particular row has a specific user ID, and based on user ID that particular user detail will be deleted. And this is the delete data method. Okay, and inside I use the debugger that is used for debug your Angular application. So when the user will click on the particular after check the particular row and click on delete button, it will ask, are you sure to delete the item? If the successful, then the delete data will be successfully deleted, and it will show that message whatever we are implemented in our web API, that is delete record has been deleted. So this is the this is the functionality I am used, that is it is first of all this service will call the delete data successfully deleted. After then this result message will be alert will be shown as the record has been deleted, and then the data will be loaded, that is the remaining data will be loaded here. And if it is row checkbox is not selected, it will show that is select at least one row. Okay, so this is all about the code for user cb.component.ts. and if you put our mouse on a specific table row, it is a property same as the display columns, data source, selection and constructor. If you put our mouse, you will get the details of it. So I'll scroll from top to bottom to capture the code. This is all about code for user cb.component.cs. So here I'll use delete API endpoint in our user service.ts file. So this service I already have created in my previous video. So this is the file. So earlier I have used this endpoint for get user detail, and this endpoint I'll use for delete the record. Okay, so you see here there is a delete data method, right? So here I have used the delete data method, and I'm passing some parameter user detail, and here HTTP option header type I have mentioned here, and there is HTTP post, and here you notice this is the endpoint I am use here, route, right? Because in my API here you can notice this delete record, it is HTTP post and it is a route one, right? So this delete record endpoint I am calling here in my service file of in the Angular application as a HTTP post, so that it will perform the delete operation for in our Angular UI application. So this is the code for delete operation and delete operation by using delete endpoint in our Angular application. So this is the code for user.service.ts file to implement the delete API delete operation endpoint. So as point number 7 is we need to add the component selector in main app in app.component.html. So guys, if you'll go to here in user cb component HTML, so each component user cb.component.ts. okay, so each component has its particular selector here, so that when our Angular application loads initially, so based on the selector used in our app.component.html, that page only loads. So I need to use the user cb component selector in my app.component.html. So in app.component.html I'm using the selector here using opening and closing tab. And then point number 8 is we need to add dependency npm in app.module.ts. so in app.module.ts I'm using that particular component here import statement, and in the declaration array I'm using passing that user cb component, right? And remaining code as usual I am used in my previous video. So this is all about the code for app.module.ts. And here point number 9 is we need to set CORS, cross origin resource sharing in web API. So this is also similar to my previous video I have already discussed in my previous video. If you'll go to web API config.cs, this is the line of code we need to configure for CORS enable, and for that we need to add this namespace. So this is all about the code for web API and Angular. So this is Angular and this is for web API. So next step is we need to see the output. So before running my Angular application, we need to first check the API response. So guys, my web API is successfully run and I'm getting all the response here. These all the records I'm seeing here as the similar to my SQL Server database. So that means web API is running successfully. Let's go, run our Angular application. So here ng-serve, so guys, my Angular application is compiled successfully. I'm getting the URL, so I copy this URL, go to the browser, and here I'll run my browse my URL. So guys, here I'm getting all the records here, or 11 records. If you compare here in my SQL Server, I'm getting total number of rows is 11. The similar data I am getting in my web API response as well as in my Angular UI. It's total 11 records, right? So here the checkbox on the header of the table as well as in each row of my table data, right? So if you click on the checkbox, so you can select all the rows here. You can also individually check all the rows as well based on the requirement, right? And here there is one delete button here. So based on selection, it will delete the records of particular row, or you can delete multiple rows using checkbox. So guys, first of all I'll show you that is without checkbox anything. If you delete the click on the delete button, I'm getting select at least one row. Okay, and before deleting I'm checking one thing. You can check as of now I have 11 records, right? So I need to delete the one row here. For example, I need to delete user ID 1, right? Same thing I'll check here in my web API. So this is data is there, right, for user ID whose ID is 1, and also in my database I'm also getting that is my user ID 1 is there. And now I need to delete this user ID 1 using Angular. So what happened is I'm check this for user ID 1 and delete user, click on the delete user button. So here I'm getting, are you sure to delete the item? Click OK. So here it's showing record has been deleted. On click OK, page will reload. So page will reload. I'm getting here user ID 1 is not there. Same thing I'll check here in my API response. So see here user ID 1 is not there. Same thing I'll check my database. So see here its total number of rows is now 10 rows. So the user ID 1 is deleted successfully. So guys, here what I'll do is I need to select the some particular rows, right? So yeah, 1 user ID 3, user ID 6 and user ID 9. I need to delete the user ID 369. Click on delete user. Are you sure to delete items? Click OK. Deleted. I'm getting 369 deleted successfully. Refresh it, and if you'll refresh the user my web API, I'm getting user ID 3 is not there, user ID 6 and user ID 9 also not showing in my API response. If you execute the select statement, I'm getting 369 are successfully also deleted from the DB, right here. So same way also we can delete all the rows. Okay, so okay, now what I'll do is I'll need to before that okay, so here I need to delete all the multiple rows using checkbox. So I need to delete all the rows. So click on delete user. So see here guys, all my there is no records, is all the records are deleted. If you refresh my web API, I'm getting there is no records. Also if you'll execute my select statement, I can see there is no records as well. Let's I'll need to insert one record. One 191. Okay, Satyaprakash. So need to insert the record. Oh, identity set as there. Okay, So for that what I'll do is, so it is identity column. Until I remove this identity, it will be auto increment. So one row is successfully inserted. Same thing I'll use for okay, with also we can manually insert the identity column. So for that we need to use that set identity insert on here. So before the insert statement I need to put as on, and after that we need to set as off. Okay, so here I need to pass the user ID column name. If you execute here, I'll use 2035 2036. So if you want to insert manually to the user ID, that is the column is identity and primary key, we need to set the identity insert as on, after then identity insert for the table as off. So if you'll execute, I'm successfully inserted. So there I'm getting 2 records, right? So here we need to update a record here. Because it is same name, that's what I deleted here. So let's check here on. Okay, insert. Okay, now I'm getting different records. One is male, another is female. So I need to first check the web API. I'm getting 2 records. Same way, if you select here, I'm getting 2 records as well, right? So yeah, similar. If you not checkbox, click on select rows, and after then if you select that, you can select all the rows. I'll select the selective rows as well. So I'm delete this mark body. I want to delete. Click on delete. So this record is successfully deleted. Refresh it. I'm getting 1 record. Same way for web API, I'm getting 1 record now. If you select statement, I'm getting one record. That record is another record is deleted successfully. So guys, in this way we can perform how to delete multiple rows using a checkbox in Angular and Web API. So let's go to my presentation. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.